One of my favorite quotes of all time goes something like this.
There isn't any shame in being weak, girl. The shame is in staying weak.
It's from Black Clover, an anime which I've watched on and off for a few years now. I love this quote so much because it encapsulates everything about the hero's journey in one sentence, and its message is simple. It doesn't matter that you are not who you want to be today, as long as you are doing better than who you were yesterday, and that's what counts. So you might be asking, why is your favorite niche YouTuber talking about something so deep with KCD2 footage in the background? Well, it's because KCD2, and plenty of other games like it, understand something that a lot of modern titles tend to forget, and that is that being weak isn't a bad thing. In fact, I believe that playing with a quote-unquote weak character helps us, the player, better connect with the characters that we play. At the start of Kingdom Come Deliverance, Henry is a literal bum, horsing around with the other village boys, getting into petty fights, vandalism and other shenanigans. While the intro sequence is brilliantly crafted to teach you the basic mechanics of the game, it also serves narratively to tell you that Henry is little more than a delinquent with limited skills. Then, what can only be described as the worst day of his life happens, as our boy watches in horror, powerless as he sees his loved ones, his home, the only life he's ever known, burned before his very eyes. This is his wake-up call, drastic, tragic, and depressing. Henry is shocked out of his youthful ignorance and comes to realize that the world is a dangerous place. This is made even clearer as he runs for his life on horseback, and Henry, and by extension us, the player, is given our very first choice. Henry can choose whether or not to help Teresa escape, and if you do, you get a small head start in terms of experience and a reward for risking your neck later on. Or don't, and you won't get any experience and Henry will just be as useless as before. But you might be thinking, this one action doesn't change Henry all that much, right? Well, yes, the actual experience difference is marginal at best, but that's not the point. The point is the decision itself and the impact it has on Henry. What's beautiful is its similarity to real life. See, the decisions you make in the moment are unlikely to instantly change your life for the better, but it does improve who you are, even if it's just by 1%. Let's say for example you want to lose weight. You don't eat a salad and suddenly drop 10 pounds, right? Hell, you might not even lose 10 pounds within a week. But a month? That's a different story. What I'm trying to say here is that it takes time for effort to bear fruit. And like us, Henry's journey from village bum to knight in shining armor, master swordsman, and Rizzler supreme is something that takes not just time, but conscious effort. But let's get back to Henry. He escapes his captors through dumb luck, but sustains a terrible injury. And after that, you're thrust out into the world on your own. And even without humans trying to turn you into a shish kebab, the world is no less dangerous than before. You could starve from lack of food, you could get mauled to death by dogs, or you could get murdered by bandits. Death is around the corner for a broke bum like Henry. And you're reminded of this reality fairly quickly. You'll notice that Henry gets winded after a short jog, deals basically no damage with his attacks, and is overall about as useless as a wet sock in combat. This is conveyed narratively in the main quest, where Henry tries to bury his parents, but gets ambushed by the raiders once more. He comes face to face with their leader, Agent 47, before getting mercilessly beaten down. Our boy is hopelessly outclassed here, a far cry from the man that he becomes later in the story, but this is the reality of medieval life. The strong get their way and the weak have to do everything they can to survive. The first few hours of KCD are all about making you understand just how fragile and inexperienced Henry is, and that's what makes every little victory feel massive. The first time you actually win a fight without having one foot on death's door feels incredible. When you figure out how to read and write, that literally unlocks a whole new scholarship mechanic previously unavailable to you. And brewing your first potion correctly? Absolutely amazing. And then, as you progress, something amazing happens. Tasks that once felt impossible become second nature. The same Henry that tripped over his own feet trying to dodge an attack is now parrying and pulling off master strikes like a seasoned warrior. Remember the guy that beat Henry up? Yeah, that's him right now. The same guy who couldn't string two words together without embarrassing himself is now out haggling merchants in the marketplace. The key here lies in the fact that you didn't give up despite the game's difficulty and hardcore nature, and as a result, Henry grows with you too. And while you learn the mechanics, Henry as a character unlocks perks to enhance his skills. you've put in the hours, you've learned the mechanics, and now both you and Henry get to reap the rewards. This isn't just progression, it's earned mastery, and that's why I feel so attached to Henry as a character throughout both KCD1 and KCD2. Because his development and skill set is determined by what I found interesting during my time playing the game. My Henry is very likely different from your Henry, and that's completely fine. In fact, that's what I find amazing about KCD2 and role-playing games in general. Someone might enjoy playing a stealth archer, others a diplomat with a silver tongue. For me, I'm a simple man. Any disagreements can always be settled by a duel. And to put it simply, that's why I love this game. Henry starts as a ball of uselessness at the beginning of the story, and it's up to us, the player, to mold him into the man that he can become. Of course, it will take time, effort and practice, and just like in real life, meaningful change only happens when you put in the work day in, day out. This journey that Henry shares with us in the KCD games reminds me of other games which nail this sense of growth as well. For example, in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, you start with almost nothing, a tree branch, thorn shirt, and a world filled with enemies that can basically one-shot you unless you are prepared. But every battle, every puzzle, every shrine, every piece of food that you cook teaches you how to survive and thrive in this world. And by the time you're facing off against Lynels or taking down Calamity Ganon, you're not the same fragile traveller you started as. You've become a true hero through your persistence and skill. And now a classic, Skyrim. You go from a nameless prisoner to the Dragonborn, not because the game hands you that power, but because you earn it through exploration, combat and mastering of your chosen skills. You see, Skyrim was one of the first games to introduce this mechanic of experience gain, where your character improves when they execute certain actions. I fell in love with this system because of how organic it felt compared to traditional systems where you would need to complete quests or kill monsters to progress. I will forever remember my first trek up to High Hrothgar and getting bodied by the mountain troll. I had to consume my entire inventory worth of food and potions before barely beating him with just a sliver of health left. And as I progressed through the game and began to kill dragons, ancient liches and Dwemer titans, I will always remember how far I've come every time I stumble across a troll in the mountains. What about Hades? Zagreus' journey isn't just about escaping the underworld, it's about constant failure, learning from your mistakes, and gradually becoming strong enough to break free. Every failed run makes you better, unlocks more abilities, gives you ideas for new builds to try, and at first, every boss fight feels impossible. But slowly, your reflexes sharpen, your strategy improves, and what once seemed unbeatable just becomes another day at the office. And finally, this kind of video wouldn't be complete without talking about Elden Ring and the FromSoft games. A classic example. You start weak, you die, you get up and try again, you learn, and you die some more. And then you try again. And eventually, the once impossible enemies just become another stepping stone on your path to victory. For me, this is exemplified most when I fought Melania. I remember sitting down at 1 PM on a Saturday and starting the fight. I died. A lot. But you know what didn't die? My resolve to beat her. By the time I finally saw the victory screen and yelled out in triumph, the sun had already set, and my family was already preparing to head out for dinner. All of these games teach a simple but powerful lesson. Strength is earned and not given. And the best vessel for this lesson is your weak starting character. When a game makes you start from rock bottom, it forces you to engage with its mechanics, to strategize, to improve. And when you finally overcome these challenges, that victory feels real. Because it is real. Modern games love throwing you into a power fantasy, but let's be real. What's more satisfying? Being strong from the very start of the game, or earning that strength through blood, sweat, and retries? There's something uniquely satisfying about knowing that you started at the bottom and clawed your way to the top. And as you look back on your journey, you'll be proud of who you and your character have become. So the next time you boot up a game and find yourself weak, struggling and getting your ass kicked, don't get frustrated. Embrace it. Because that struggle is where the best stories are born, both in the game and in you. There's a reason why these quote-unquote difficult games have such a huge cult following. Just like Henry, your journey from clueless beginner to hardened warrior isn't just about the character, it's about you. And because in the end, strength isn't about where you start, it's about having the will to keep going. And if that's not a lesson worth learning, I don't know what is. Hey, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. I've been absolutely blown away by the support on the channel the past few weeks, and I really hope that you guys enjoy the content which I have planned in the future. Please leave a like and subscribe if you like what you see, and please feel free to check out my Patreon as well to help me feed my editors. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye bye.